Washington, D.C. How y'all feeling tonight? Cool. Thank you so much for coming out. My name is Dominic Shodekeh Talifero, and I'm here tonight to basically tell my story through music. It's been a long journey, and the challenges have been pretty extraordinary, but I kind of like it when stuff is hard, so kind of have an issue with that. So I know in most cases people identify me with beatboxing, vocal percussion, and then the last few years I've been exploring this re-identification as a breath artist. So for tonight, considering the content of what I want to share in my story, we're gonna leave beatboxing in another space, and I want to focus everything that I'm doing tonight as a breath artist. Now, what on earth does that mean? I know maybe it might sound a little pretentious. I like words. But nevertheless, a simpler term may be creative breathing, and it's what I maintain to be or what happens when you isolate breathing as a phenomenon of creativity and expression all into itself. So another thing, a little more house cleaning, as I tell my story through music, I'm going to ask you all to be maybe a little more interactive than usual with some call and response. I'm gonna teach you all some sounds, nothing too crazy, but you also will be approaching it from the lens of being a breath artist yourself. Is that cool? All right, so let's see. 1987. I was 9 years old, and I was in this really deep place of considering taking my own life. At the time, of course, I didn't know what the term ideation was, but that's what I was experiencing. So I'm gonna leave all the gory details for the therapists and the counselors, maybe for very, very, very close friends who I could trust to hold the story in their hearts too, and close family members. But I've already learned my lesson to not just spill the beans everywhere you go. So that's not gonna happen tonight. But 1987 was a pivotal year for me, and it also became the year that I first started to explore using my voice through breath as an instrument unto itself. Now, another thing about 1987 was that was the year that the Broad X cicadas reemerged. The 17-year Broad X cicadas. And recently I've started to notice this 17-year pattern of every single time I'm struggling with ideation, the damn cicadas are back. What is that about? I have no idea. We're gonna explore it as we move through these next several moments. So, some teaching moments. I'm gonna give you all a cue. There are gonna be two cues. I'm not trained as a conductor, so we're gonna keep it really simple. But when you hear me do this sound for this first movement within 1987, I want you all to create the sound with your voice based on my cue. The sound I want you all to do is this. Here's your cue. All right, come on, y'all, that was weak. Can we try that again, please? Loosen up. You know, if you need to get up and dance around, that's cool too, but let's try that again. You're not doing it alone. There are other people behind you, in front of you, beside you, and so on. This is the cue to vocalize and silence. One more time, as loud as you can. Ready? Cool. Within this first set, dedicated to the 9-year-old who's still inside of me in 1987, you're going to hear some natural sounds, natural breath sounds and inhalations, exhalations. You might hear some thunder, maybe some ocean waves, maybe some wind. Maybe you might even hear crickets off in the distance. But it's a different listening experience and challenge. So if you need to close your eyes or get zoned out by what you're hearing, that's okay too. Thank you. Were you all vocalizing? I didn't hear you all. Let's be participatory, everyone. So, yeah, I'm a weirdo. I like to do things a little differently. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But especially considering the last few years of the pandemic, I maintain that we experienced a massive shift in not only our own personal breathing, but in breath culture, locally, nationally, all over the world. And that's when I went even deeper into my practice and research regarding this phenomenon of breath art. And I feel like it's something I might be rediscovering. There are countless examples of creative breath in music, in all genres, from hip hop to rock, jazz, classical. It's everywhere. But I think it's interesting to consider whether or not other people have identified specifically as a breath artist who focuses on using their breath in an isolated form. And so I've just become even more intrigued over the last few years. So 1987, 2004, 2004, the damn cicadas are back again, messing with my life, messing with my whole world. And I'm experiencing, this is post-college, post-Penn State, another intense battle with ideation. A lot of my trauma from childhood abuse got re-triggered in some pretty dynamic ways. It can be pretty unpredictable at times based on who's in your life and different circumstances and where you're living and all these different things. But I came out of it with this sheer determination to find a way to make a living as a professional beatboxer. That was the turnaround moment for me, but apparently I still had a long way to go and I didn't even realize it. So this second movement will be focused on breath percussion. You may hear some breath breaks and fragments. You may hear sparrows sort of flying around the Kennedy Center. You may hear some breath drums, but breath will be very identifiable in this next movement, dedicated to the inner post-college student that still lives within me within the year 2004. Now this will be your vocal cue. I hope you feel a little more loose and inspired to vocally participate, because if there's one thing I can't stand, it's just the fourth wall and the passivity of how audiences are expected to be. So I really love to mix it up and be interactive. So we're gonna break the cue up into two sections. This section over here, this is the vocal cue, some breath shakers for you. You ready? Oh, we're awake now. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Over here, just at a little bit of a lower pitch. Okay, cool. Thank you. Are you all going to try these sounds when we go home? Maybe. Yeah, I hope so. So, 1987, 2004, 2021, in the midst of the pandemic, the cicadas are back. And this time things are a little different. Most of the ideation was in 2020. I experienced a pretty intense personal crisis that triggered all my stuff from years and years ago. And made it through 2020, but during that time, I was also planning the establishment of my very own living archive at Towson University within their Special Collections and University Archives division. It turned out to be the first hip-hop archive established in the state of Maryland and the first beatbox and breath art archive established anywhere in the world. I don't know how these things happen. Thank you. But you know, to be completely honest with you, and I appreciate the applause, but for some reason, I think somewhere in my mind, anticipating the applause that I just got from you all, I think maybe it scared me in a way. And as I was going into 2021, around the first, second, or third week or so, I was really thinking about my intentions, and I decided, okay, it can't just be about me. So that's awesome that I'm doing these things for the first time, but so what? What else can you do with this platform that you'll have for the rest of your life, even after you're dead and gone, after your time is up here on planet Earth? How are you going to use it? You got to use it for something bigger than yourself. So I was reminded of the legacy of Buckminster Fuller, the 20th century innovator and architect. And he struggled with what I refer to as his own ideation epiphany. And he turned his life around and decided that he would conduct a lifelong experiment in the cultivation of raw human potential. When I was reminded of that and his story and the passage in a book that I read, I thought, that's what I need to do. But maybe I could take it a step further, perhaps, and have it also be about dedicating my archive with the mission of using my platform to raise awareness on the epidemic of Black youth suicide and ideation, which really went up during the pandemic. And that's when I thought, okay, now I figured it out. That's how we're going to carry things moving forward and for the rest of my life. And that's why there's this strange, beautiful, terrifying, but powerful alignment with the cicada emergence every 17 years. And I thought maybe there are so many ways to interpret that, right? But maybe they're here to remind me of my mission in life. Maybe this is why I was put here to do this work through my music and have it be about more than just being a great performer, being a great composer, and so on and so forth. What can you do with it as a tool? So that was my turnaround moment in 2021. And we're preparing for when the cicadas come back in 2038. And we're practicing kung fu and weapons training, and we're canned goods and just all the things. We're preparing for the next 17 years because who knows? But nevertheless, in the meantime, I found a deeper purpose. So in this last set, I'm going to explore some more abstract sounds. You may hear some nasal inhalations, resonant breath, maybe some breath overtones, maybe a little breath static. And I'm going to give you all a cue. This might be maybe a little more familiar. So this side, I'm going to give you a melody cue, and over here, a breath cue. So over here, an inhalation. Ready, same cue. Stop being so shy. One more time. Cool. And over here, just two simple notes. Ooh, that was beautiful. Okay, perfect. You got that? Yeah? Okay, cool. So let's see how I can dedicate this last movement to this time all three of the cycles: the inner child at 1987, the inner 20-year-old in 2004, and the inner 40-year-old in 2021, with some abstract or obscured breath. Thank you. So, I wasn't quite anticipating this, but we actually have a little bit of time. So, I would love to open up the floor just a little bit for three really great questions pertaining to my practice and research as a breath artist. Please, please, please don't ask me any questions about what I've been through or my trauma, because it's a miracle that I haven't even cried on stage tonight. So, can we agree upon that? Is that cool? Awesome. So, three really, really, really great questions, and then we'll wrap it up. So, let's try this section here. Regarding my practice as a breath artist, yes. How you doing?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I forgot your name.
Shodekeh.
Shodekeh. I want to ask that. I was wondering because as a youth, I used to beatbox too, and I used to rap and all that stuff. Do you use any hemp products when you do the breathing techniques? Do you use any marijuana, not marijuana, but CBD products or anything like that?
Absolutely not, sir. My practice is 100% pure from the air that I breathe and the spaces that I walk in and from the music that I listen to. So, yeah, I'm good on that. Yeah. So, man, my practice is, believe it or not, I may come across as someone who may partake, but I do not actually. So, yeah, my practice is just straight from the air. And I tend to think of it as a feedback loop, a constructive, hopefully constructive feedback loop regarding what I'm putting out into the open airspace and what I'm taking in. So, yeah, I hope that was a very interesting question. No, not at all. No, not at all. It was an interesting question.
I just wanted to know because in hip hop they use a lot of it, and I was just wondering since you're a hip hop artist,
No, that's a negative.
stop doing it so I can join you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Very, very interesting question. Was not expecting that one. Maybe a question from over here in the back. Yes, I saw the hand in the back went up first. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My question is, how many hours of practice do you think went into making this happen?
That's an excellent question too, and I think my most honest response would be in terms of fully explicit conscious awareness. I'm kind of practicing all the time, but since that line is really thin between my conscious breathing and my unconscious breathing, I'm literally practicing all the time, even in my sleep. So, yeah, I mean, I'll just play with sounds throughout the day, or I like to practice with projecting my breath and aiming my breath at objects. Um, like pieces of paper, or I'll prop up something to try to blow it across the table, silly stuff like that. But then I also sometimes try to sort of breath sing with the environment. If the winds are kicking up, I may vocalize with the winds, or if I'm watching birds fly about or flock, I may try to interpret that formation and patterns with some breath sounds. It's just kind of always with me, so in a way, my voice is always warm. And then in terms of what I prepared for tonight, literally my whole damn life. So, yeah, awesome. Okay. Hi, Mary Beth. How you doing? Yes, I know you got a great one.
Yeah, it occurred to me. I wondered what was your earliest sounds? Do you remember the age? And how would you encourage also youngsters to make sounds like you?
Gosh, yes. And that leads me to a really interesting thought. So, I recently did a innovation residency at Colorado College in Colorado Springs, and one of the prompts for a few of the classes was this: get into your groups and think about your earliest breath memories and see if you can't take a moment to explore your breath history, your own personal breath history. If it's something you just want to hold and not share, you can hold that here and not share that information. Or if it's something you want to share, because breath history, that's going to bring up potentially all kinds of stuff for people. But the students were just chattering away, and I was challenged by my own prompt, and I thought about what are my first breath memories. Some are terrible, some of them are beautiful, and I remember emulating the sound of wind was the first experience that I had. 1987, the age of 9. My house in PG County was right next to the woods, so I think that maybe had something to do with it. But I remember emulating the sound of wind as far back as the age of 9. And you heard me do it today. It sounded a lot like this. And that emulation has been with me since that time as a youth, as a kid. So I don't even know how I figured out how to make that sound. It just came to me. I mean, I was beatboxing, and so that was probably my venue or my pathway into emulating sounds through breath. But in terms of practice for other people, especially kids, I mean, we're surrounded by air and weather formations and thunderstorms, and nature's all around us, especially if you visit parks, if you visit more natural areas of the planet in different regions. Really awesome opportunities to practice there. So, and your breath is always with you, so why not explore all the creative and expressive possibilities? Because I also maintain it's been a thing that has allowed me to manage a lot of the stress and trauma over the many years. So I think there's great potential for a healing practice within that concept. So, excellent question. So, I would like to thank everyone here at the Kennedy Center. I would like to thank Therese, everyone from sound and lighting, the camera crew, the ushers, the head usher. I would like to thank Towson University Special Collections and University Archives Division, the Social Impact Initiative of the Kennedy Center. That was the ground and the platform that allowed me to feel safe and share my story here today. So many, many, many thanks to the Social Impact Initiative here at the Kennedy Center. And thanks to all my friends in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, up and down the East Coast, Philly. People came out from Pittsburgh, like, why are you here? People came out tonight, so thank you so much. Everyone watching live stream all over the world, really means a lot. And can we take in one last really deep inhalation and exhalation together? 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much, everyone. Get home safe. Thank you. Oh, yeah. I'm going to head towards the bar section in the back. Meet me there. They got to strike the set, and then we can figure out after gatherings from there. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you for joining us at Millennium Stage. For more information about the upcoming Millennium Stage programming, please visit us online at our website or on Facebook. As we prepare for another performance, we ask that you would help us by heading towards the back of the seating area so we can safely put away our chairs. If you would like to meet with the artists, you can do so at the back of the house. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening at the Kennedy Center.